Founded in 1883 on the 4 principles of anti-magnetism, waterproofness, anti-shock, and stainless steel cases, really the 4 modern principles that every watch company uses in all of their watches, Alpina was really pushing the boundaries for what a sports watch could be considered at the time. Nowadays though, they've really divided their catalog into 2 watch collections, whether that is their modern collection with their Alpina Extreme, or their more heritage derivative collection plucked from their archives. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of those such watches with their Diver 300 Heritage model here. A dual crown dive watch leaning more into that heritage vintage aesthetic, though with a fully modern specification package delivered with modern finishing. We're going to take you through some of the fine detailed finishing here, take a closer look at this dive watch, take you through some of the pros and some of the cons, and at the very end I'm going to point out some of the things that I really like about this watch, and one thing that I think you really should consider if you are considering purchasing this watch for yourself. Beginning first with the case dimensions, the Diver 300 Heritage does come in on the larger side of things with a 42mm case diameter paired with a thickness of 12.3mm and a lug-to-lug of 48mm. Now that does mean that this watch is going to wear on the larger side of things, probably best suited for those of you with medium to larger size wrists. However, case architecture does come in and help you out, as the lugs slant towards the wearer's wrist, meaning that it does drape over just a little bit better than a flatter case dimension might be. Now looking at case finishing, it is also a bit better finished than some of you might expect from some of those older Alpina models that you might have seen in the past. The case sports a mixture of brushed and polished finishes, breaking up its facets in order to let the light play over its surfaces, while making the overall package seem a little bit more elevated, though it is a true sport watch through and through. Its dual crown approach does mean that you're going to have a little bit more of that wrist presence than you might expect in some more refined tool watches that you've seen from the brand in the past. But again, it does lean more into that vintage aesthetic, so if you're looking for that vibe, this watch surely does deliver it. Flipping the watch over, you have a fully debossed Alpina logo on the screw-down case back, which helps in achieving 300 meters of water resistance. Now rounding back over the top, you come over the domed sapphire crystal, which does add a little bit of thickness to the overall profile, but does a good job of cutting down on the glare while adding just a little bit of distortion at its edges and giving you a little bit of a vintage charm on the overall style of the dial design language. Looking at the slightly domed primary dial surface, at the outer edge you do have a white printed minute track broken up by polished applied indices differentiated at 12, 3, 6, and 9. Those hour indices though are important to note that they are devoid of any sort of lume, which during the day when they are hit with light come to life and are easy to read, but at night are slightly hard to see as, like I said, they don't have any lume application, meaning that they will not glow whatsoever. At its center, you do have a vintage style handset with a sharpened pencil hour hand, a large oversized minute hand, and a sweeping arrow seconds hand, all of which do have their own large lume application, which should help with that nighttime legibility. The vintage Alpina script here is used at 12 o'clock to show off the namesake, with again a little bit of printing used at the bottom to show you automatic C-strong 300 meters at the bottom 6 o'clock position. Overall, the dial is kept to a pretty clean, minimalistic take, leaning more into those vintage vibes and making legibility pretty simple by day, but again a little bit difficult when night does come around. Now you might run into some issues in direct light conditions where the sunburst pattern and polished indices do conflict slightly, making it a bit of an overblown visual, but overall if you do just flick your wrist a little bit, you can tell time pretty quickly regardless. Taking a step back here, we're going to look at the rubber strap that comes on this Alpina Diver, because oftentimes I'm quick to call out companies for offering fairly cheap options when it comes to their strap, but I think Alpina has done a very good job of giving you a competent rubber strap. Overall, it is very comfortable. It has ports on the backside to give you a little bit of water shedding capabilities, a bit of texture on the top side to give you an elevated look and feel. It is comfortable, flexible, and is really well suited for warm weather capabilities with just a nice presenting package that blends well with the aesthetic of the overall piece. Now that is on this model though, whereas on the other option out there with the black dial and gold accents, you are getting a leather strap, which is actually a pretty fine option as well if you're looking for that aesthetic, though in warmer weather or wet conditions you might want to swap that leather out for a nylon or rubber option like you're getting on this one. Inside beats the automatic AL520, a slightly modified Sellita SW200 operating at 4 Hz while achieving 38 hours of power reserve. Now while that might be slightly lower as far as power reserve goes for the price point, this is still a tried and true movement that we have seen in countless watches at this price point. It is still easily serviced should something go wrong, offers solid timekeeping, and really should hold up to the rigors that this tool watch will be put through. Now, to the point of this review, there is one aspect of this watch that I have avoided bringing up until now, and that is the dual crown system. And that is really the one thing that I'm going to bring up as my only gripe of this watch, and that is because we are using an internal bezel with a dual crown operating system that is a screw down crown. Now, while the screw down aspect does help achieve 300 meters of water resistance, it does mean that that screw down capability does inhibit the actual accuracy of that timing capability where you're trying to line up the triangle with the actual minute marker. And I'll demonstrate that for you here on camera. As we unscrew the crown and actually set the triangle to where we want the timing capabilities to be lined up with, as you push the crown in and screw it down, you're going to notice that that triangle shifts slightly to the left as you wind it back in. Sure, it protects the watch from water creeping inside and protects the movement from a little bit of rust developing, but it does mean that timing is going to be thrown off by a minute or two if you are really trying to save your life by keeping time underwater. Now, for most of us who are using this watch at our desk or for timing or cooking our dinner at night, it's really not going to matter all that much. But in a life or death situation where this is really going to be crucial in timing your oxygen, it is a really important thing that you might want to consider. Now, that being said, there are 3 other heritage dive watches out there that you might be considering if you're watching this video. On the lower end of the spectrum, there is the Spinnaker option out there for just under $400, which does have a bit of a modern vibe to it, though still fits the bill very well and can be picked up for an excellent price point. Now, if you do want to step things up slightly, there is the Baltic Aquascaphe for right around $750. Having released that Mark II very recently with an updated design language, it does have very nice finishing and comes in at a very nice price point, though in terms of finishing and movement capabilities is a little bit far off from this Alpina. But the one main competitor that you're probably considering when looking at this watch is the Longines Legend Diver 42mm. And while those 2 watches do deliver a pretty similar look and feel to them, they do have very big differences in movement specifications and price points. So let's look at the 2 watches side by side quickly and see which one might be right for you. Very quickly running through the specifications of the Longines Legend Diver. You do have a price point slightly higher at $2,650, with the same case diameter of 42mm, a slightly thicker case thickness of 12.7mm, a longer lug-to-lug of 52.6mm, and a 22mm lug width, while this Alpina does have a lug width of 21mm. So if that is something that annoys you, you might want to consider that. Now, they both have 300 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystals, and automatic calipers on the inside, with the Longines being powered by the L888 caliber, proprietarily made by ETA for Longines. So when you break it down and compare the 2 watches side by side, sure, with the Longines you are going to get a slightly better finished package with a slightly longer power reserve. However, it is going to wear larger than the Alpina will, with a slightly lower frequency, which means if you're really paying attention, it will tick just a little bit more than the Alpina will. And at the end of the day, it is going to take $700 more out of your pocketbook. So if that is of consideration to you, you might want to save a little bit and go with the Alpina. If you want to pick up a couple extra straps, you now have $700 to do so with. But anyway, let me know what you think about the Alpina Diver 300 Heritage. Do you like the style, or would you save up maybe a little bit more and grab the Longines for yourself? Let me know down in that comment section down below. And while you're down there, please do like and subscribe. It really helps us out. If you like dive watches, you should check out our recent review of the very modern Citizen ProMaster diver that we did recently, or check out the video I did with Ricardo looking at new watches that just landed in the Windup watch shop. We looked at a whole bunch of very fun ones that just rolled into the shop here. With all of that being said, I know that your time is valuable, and I really do appreciate you spending some of it with us here. Until the next one, peace.